my family, okay. Obviously, from my accent, I'm Australian. This is Jane, my wife, Molly, Ruby, and little Toby. It's a couple of years old, so they're all a little bit older now. But we were going on a holiday, right? And so this is actually the Virgin Lounge in Melbourne Airport, where we're all having a snack and Toby's just lying on the table there. And we had a great holiday, and we went all the way up to sort of North Queensland. So this is a map of Australia. I like to give people a bit of perspective around the size of Australia. It's a pretty big country. So we live down here in Tasmania, labelled as Denmark here. But we went on holidays up in Queensland, so sort of North Queensland, in a place called Noosa, and it's roughly up here. And that's sort of for the European people in the room, but I've also got a North American one for you, just to put it in perspective. So, you know, it's a decent hike, right? And we decided one day to go to Australia Zoo. I don't know if you've ever heard of Australia Zoo. It's an amazing zoo. And it's quite famous in Australia. If you ever get to Queensland, it's a great place to go. But it was quite a hot day, and we had a 2-hour drive from Noosa down to Australia Zoo. And you know, you can imagine young kids in the car and all that. That's pretty hard work. But we got there and we had a really great day. And we saw some some koalas. Saw some kangaroos, not on the beach, but we did see some kangaroos. We saw a few Tassie devils, which obviously come from our home state, and a few platypus and all that. But we also saw some of the nasty creatures. Australia's got quite a few nasty creatures, plenty of snakes, you know, lots of tarantulas and deadly spiders. France loves this. France visited us once and he's petrified of Australia. You know, and of course crocodiles, lots of crocodiles, right? So we had a great day, but it was quite hot, and we're at the end of the day, okay? And we're heading home after a long day at Australia Zoo. I kind of felt a bit like this, right? I was like, you know, that's Mick Dundee, and I felt a bit like him. The kids felt a bit like this, they were all pretty tired, right? Jane, my wife, felt a bit like this. And so we're driving home, and on the way home, I've said to everyone, the kids are in the back, I said, you know what, I tell you what, you know, let's just get McDonald's for dinner, okay? And so the kids are like, yay, Macca's or Mickey D's, or that's what we call it in Australia. But so we're driving home, and we've come back up to Noosa, and I'm driving around Noosa, the kids are screaming, it's chaos. And I'm like, I can't find McDonald's, right? And I thought I knew where it was, and I'm driving here and driving there, and can't find it, and the kids are going crazy. And I'm like, you know what, forget it. We'll just go back to the hotel, we'll eat something there, and that'll be... So Molly, my 5-year-old, is like, no! She wants to go to McDonald's, she's really freaking out, and so we're having this debate, and Jane's going, for Christ's sake, it must be over this way, or this way. So... You know, if you've got kids, what that's like, okay, it's pretty awful. So Molly, my 5-year-old at the time, picks up my phone, and I better make sure I don't do this, but goes, hey Siri, where is McDonald's? Just like that. And sure enough, up it comes on the map, and there's McDonald's, and she's like, there it is, Daddy. And I'm like, my 5-year-old just navigated better than I could, right? And it was pretty amazing. And I think, you know, it sort of comes back to, you know, and this is Toby not long after picking up the phone, and he was too little then, right? But you can see in that picture, he's having a go, right? He's got his finger out, he's trying to do it, okay? And the thing is about, you know, tools like an iPhone, they're so intuitive, they're so beautiful and so easy to use that we don't have adoption issues with iPhones. They're easy to use, so people use them for all sorts of things, right? And so that long-winded story brings us to what, with the ISW and our Kudos software, what we refer to as our 4th design goal. And we believe that if you can make software beautiful, intuitive, and easy to use, adoption issues just fall aside. Right? And we spend a lot of time, a lot of effort just trying to make everything that we do as simple, as easy as possible for the user, and not over-baking things. And if you're interested in the other 3, we're happy to run you through them a bit later. Right? So, but let's face it, as we know, right, users love their email, right? Email's still the killer app of the internet. I don't think anybody can deny that. But we use it for so many things that we probably shouldn't use it for. And so, email is great, but it really sucks for managing tasks and projects and things like that, like trying to keep a list of things to do and emailing them back and forth. It's really not for that. So let's see if we can take a slightly different approach to how we do that. So let me switch across now. I said we wouldn't have many PowerPoint slides. So this is obviously IBM Verse with Connections Cloud. Equally works for on-prem or cloud, we don't care. And I've received an email here. So Maria and I have been working on a project. So the scenario is that we're designing some new solar panels, okay? And I've received an email, in this case, from myself. But rather than responding to that email or whatever you might historically do, I'm going to save that email as a card. So I take that, and we've got existing projects happening. So I can come in here and look for, say, solar, and we've got an activity or a project running for solar, and I can look at the disk. So I'm going to go and just add it to the task things to plan. I'll give it a due date. I'll say by next Wednesday, say, and I'm just going to save that. So that's taken that email and it's put it directly into connections inside a board, right, an activity. And you can come in here, of course, and it's taken the content and put it in there. It's set the due date. I can assign different users, so I might add Maria to this task. I can choose things like color coding, so I'm just going to put this down as solar research there. And you can add attachments and comments and all that sort of stuff, right? Now you'll note that that's added that card here, right? And I can maybe reorganise it and say, well, I'm going to make that a bit more important, so I'm going to drop it up the top. Or I might say, actually, we need to achieve that, so I'm going to move it across to that column. Really quickly and easily updating the work, right? And everything that I'm doing, Maria can see what's happening. I can filter these down, so I can say, well, just show me the solar research topics, and it very quickly, instantly shows you those tasks, okay. So there's so much more to the boards that I'll come back to, right? But I wanted to, I guess, talk a little bit to the fact that different people really do work and thinking in different ways. There's really no one size fits all, okay? Some people, I see it all the time, they will be sitting in your meeting and they'll have Notepad open, right? And they'll just create bullet points in Notepad. And that's their list of things that they're going to do, right? So in that scenario, we can actually just copy and paste that list into a board and it automatically lays everything out really nice. But I didn't want to show you that. Some people are more visual, right? So what we can do is we can take this activity and we can display it instead in the style of a mind map. Okay. So it's exactly the same thing. So you can see there that we've got the task there, new solar design panel review, and I might add another task under that. So I'll just go thinking about the design. Right, I can drag and drop, put Maria on it. I can drag and drop and add a code to, color code to it. And I can actually say, I can edit it, as you can see, or I can actually drag the nodes and say, I'm going to move that node. Let me just zoom out. I'm going to move that node down to. Sorry, I missed the little dongle. Let me get it again. Get that little dot and drag and drop it down to here, right? And so every change that I've made, and you can look at mind maps in different ways. Some people like this sort of radial style, some people like a vertical style, or reverse it up the other way. And you can do things obviously like styling as far as curve and what have you. I like that freestyle view, right? But every change I've made to that mind map, of course, is reflected in the board. So you can see I moved the task that we created before here, and you'll note that it's now got a subtask under it, right? So some people really love that list approach. Other people prefer it in the sort of mind map style approach. But then again, Other people like to work in a way of timelines and dates and all of this sort of stuff. So we have what we call our timeline view, right? So the timeline view is quite handy. I like this a lot because you can see obviously when tasks are due. You can identify different swim lanes. So this is based on the different lists of things to plan, things to buy. But I can pivot that to say, well, who are the tasks assigned to? You can very quickly see, who's been assigned a lot of work or who hasn't and moved around. So I might just drag drop that one and say, well, instead I'm going to assign that to myself. And you can also pivot it based on colour. So you can sort of break out your tasks and timelines into that more visual timeline sort of representation. Some people refer to it as a Gantt chart. We're not really trying to do a Gantt chart. That's why I use the timeline phrase. I think part of that is that design goal of keeping things really simple. If people want, if you're going to build a bridge, then you need to use something like Microsoft Project, right, where you're dealing with expense tracking and resource allocation and all that enterprise project management capability. This in Connections, Connections, it's about people just sort of getting their work done, working together collaboratively, using it to manage sort of day-to-day activities and that. So we try to keep it fairly lightweight and easy to use. So I'll pause there with the different demos, but what we wanted to do, I think, Maria, was create like a new blank board.
Yeah, I just want to say that about the timeline view. That's very, very good if you have deadlines. If you have some kind of mini project going on and you have deadlines, you need to do this before next Friday or before next Thursday and whatever, then you can just see that so very easily and align them. If you see that, no, that task, we need to do that before Friday, just drag and drop it. So easy.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we were going to go through an example for you of managing planning for an event, right? So we were thinking about our different events and things that we're going to go to over the next 12 months, right?
Yeah.
So earlier on, I created a Connections community, okay? And how would you do this normally? Well, I guess you have an activity, or you might have a discussion forum where you're going to keep things. But what we've extended Connections here with is you can actually add the Kudos app. I just need to go next a couple of times here, and I'll add the Kudos Boards community app. And just to make it nicer, I'm just going to drag that up the top here, and I'll drop it there. Okay. So that gives you the option of saying either list all boards or activities in relation to this community, or just list a specific board, but I'm just going to say list all boards for here. And so this is our conference planning community, and I'm going to create a new board, right? And I'm going to call it, conferences for 2019/2020. You can put in an option. I'm going to add Maria to it. One thing you can note about Maria, actually I'll add that Maria there, but I'm going to also add Andrew Welsh. All right, you'll note with Andrew Welsh, see these different icons, right? Where with Kudos Boards, you're able to engage with people that are not even in Connections. Okay, so you can actually invite anyone in the world to a board to participate with you very, very quickly and easily. In this case, Welshie has got an account on Connections on-prem. That's our internal Connections on-prem. Oh, sorry, that was Connections Cloud. He's got a Watson Workspace account that we integrated with. He's got a Connections on-prem account. He's also got an Office 365 account. So he can actually log on from any of those sources. And we also are able to do things like Facebook, Gmail, LinkedIn, etc. Any range of different provider services. So you can invite people in and they can authenticate using their provider service, and they can participate in the board as an external user. So I'll invite Welshie to this board, and I'll go next. And you can choose different templates. I'm just going to start with a blank one, and I think will we start with the Kanban, or is that what you want? Yep. Cool. Okay.
Or should we start with the mind map?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's flip to the mind map then. So it's a blank board. And so what things do we need to
so
think about?
I just want to add, sometimes, you know, you're standing by a whiteboard at the office. You have this planning, team planning meeting. We're listing all tasks we need to do. We have this and that and this and that. We are drawing it up on the whiteboard. And when you're done, everyone is starting to take a picture of it and like, how we're going to transfer this to reality and to all tasks and how can we manage them. So instead, this is our whiteboard. I think that is very good thing, actually. So yes, conferences. We need to book hotels for our conferences. Accommodation.
Yep.
And we need to book flights.
Yep.
This is actually a reality. We have many conferences we're going to present this spring. So, and we need to fix demos.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Our demos.
Yes. And also some marketing material.
Cool.
Giveaways. Everyone loves giveaways.
So okay, so we need some giveaways then. So let me add that. So under the marketing materials, we'll add
exactly.
Giveaways.
Yeah.
What else do we need for marketing?
For marketing, we need brochures.
Brochures.
And we need to fix a landing page on our website.
Landing page on website. So you're pretty good at that stuff, Maria. So I'm going to give you those tasks, okay? Let me just drag and drop Maria.
I'm going to go and shop for
I'm going to put you on each of those.
Yeah.
You're the creative one, not me.
No, exactly.
And then what demos do we need?
We need like a use case demo for customers and how.
Customer use case. Yep.
Exactly. I think Jared is not in the board.
Jared, you're going to do a demo for us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you can do a demo.
Adam, demo.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'll give myself that one.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure I've got that properly. And we'll give you the customer, and then can you just make sure Jared sorts his demo?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Cool. So accommodation, obviously we need to research the options. I'm going to do that one. I like nice hotels, so I'll do that one. Right.
Yeah.
So look, what I might do now is let's just pivot this to the board view. Okay, so you can see now how it's sort of coming together, right? Some other things that we might need to plan is customer meetings.
Yes.
So we'll go and visit, well, we're going to Germany, so we need to visit people like Bosch. We need to visit people like, I don't know, DTO will probably be around, etc. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So I think you get the idea there of how quickly you can start building up these tasks and activities, right? So I'm going to drag a couple more onto Maria here. And I'm going to switch to the timeline, right? But here, of course, we didn't actually define when we were going to do any of these things. So I'm going to just drag and drop. So I think we really need to get the customer case studies done next week.
That's urgent.
Jared, you need to get your demo done. I guess I better do my demo. I might do that in a couple of weeks.
And giveaways, we need to do that now also, because when
I'll drop that back
ordered
here.
them for our last conference, it was long delivery time.
And then we better start calling some of those customers, so I'll just drop those ones in the timeline as well there. But let's just flip now. I will drop the last couple on, I guess. But I want to flip here, and I just want to see the assignments. Hang on. Yeah, no, I've got plenty of work to do. That's pretty good.
See who's working in this team.
Maria, oh, come on, you can do. All right, fair enough. I'll move that one onto Welshie, and I'll move that one up there for Welshie as well to flatten yours out a bit. Right?
Thank you.
So, you know, I mean, it's a little, you know, role play there, of course, but I hope you can see that, you know, different people come at these activities and boards in different ways, and a lot of it is about it just being easier and more intuitive for people to do. I mean, we've only just recently added like the MindMap and Timeline capabilities, but boards itself started off, and we've seen just such amazing uptick in usage of connections. activities is a really important part of connections, but unfortunately its design and its usability is cumbersome, and I think most people accept that. The thing that is interesting about activities though is that they're team-based by their nature, right? Rarely you do an activity by yourself. So if you can get good usage of activity, people invite other people in and it can actually really amplify or virally drive the adoption of connections, right? But because of the interface, we find it really lags. So hopefully some of this sort of shown you some ways. We've sort of moved from obviously an email into an activity and sort of shown you how we can, from a connections community, create a place where people can really collaborate and plan and execute on their tasks and projects. And the use cases are thousands of use cases. You know, it's literally, people use it for just managing their work processes. Our finance and admin team have got what they call their end of month board that they use from a template, that they've created a template, and it's got all their tasks that they do, like payroll and accounts receivables and blah, 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 everything else.
Because if you have like a very good board and want to reuse it, you just copy it or create a template from it. So you don't have to like, okay, remember everything what you did, you just reproduce it.
So we haven't had much discussion, even though I begged everyone at the beginning to have a talk about this. But are there any sort of comments or thoughts or ideas? Does anyone have anything to say? Or is it just me talking today? There must be something.
I have a story.
Okay.
So I was using the same concept. I was able to manage a WebSphere portal major upgrade from like 7 something to 9, and we managed the whole process in Kudos Boards, which was really good because it allowed us to instantly share the progress with the customer. Okay, the customer is not a connections user, okay, but they were able to come on board and see my progress of the task. And we, of course, we didn't need anything beyond task management and assignment, right? And that was enough for the customer to be satisfied that we were doing the right things at the right time. Okay, and not only that, because they had visibility to it, it helped them with their change processes. So it saved them money, they didn't have to ask us to do it, which was really good. So that was a good use case for a larger, long-term, the project took 6 months, right? So it was a good use case of a sort of a larger project that didn't quite meet the needs of full project management, but just task management and assignments across companies, across several companies, not just ours. So that's I guess that's just an example of how it can be used as well.
Sorry, John.
Can you have recurring, like templated boards for a process that you do over and over again that are pretty much the same?
Absolutely. So we've got board templates, right? And they can be all sorts of different things. Let the internet gods catch up. So you get with boards heaps of templates, but you can create your own. So we've got things like, brainstorming an idea, or respond to an RFP, or a customer account plan, or an agile team project, or whatever. But yeah, so we've got, I'm just seeing whether I've got access to it, the end of month one. Yeah, so this is, I didn't create this was created by, actually no, that's not the full one, right? But that's the end of month bank reconciliation process that our finance team created. And so yes, they use that as a template each month as a starting point. And when you create a board and you say the start date is on this date, all your dates inside your template get allocated on the basis of that date, right? So yeah, it's quite neat in that regard. And what a lot of people do is that they might, we've done it with like marketing campaigns. You might run a really good marketing campaign, it's just worked well. So you've managed that through a board, and then at the end of it you go, well, rather than just lose this knowledge for next time, we'll create a template out of this board, and you can save that for later to do a repeat process. Yeah. One of the other things I'll show you guys quickly is this concept of assignments, right? So we've got this view here where the boards are shown based on whatever lists you decide to create. but we can also pivot them based on assignments. So you can actually see here that like all these tasks were assigned to myself and these tasks were assigned to Marie. So it's kind of like a different way of viewing it, and you can very quickly go, well, okay, I'll assign that task to Adam, assign that one to Maria, and off you go. Related to that, we also have to-dos by due date. So again, it's a Kanban view where it's actually showing you when the tasks are due or overdue today, tomorrow, later this week, what have you. So the owner of the board can come in there and see, and it obviously moves through as each day goes on, it moves through the different columns of that, okay? So that's obviously from a board's perspective, an individual activities perspective, but we're also able to aggregate to what we call the to-do board. And this is an area that we're really starting to expand on, right? So this is now a personal to-do board for me that aggregates all my tasks across all of my different boards into one place, right? So often when you're setting expectations for a board, yeah, okay, I'll get that task done by Thursday next week, but you're just doing it in the context of that one board. What this enables you to do is see, and I have, because we do demos all the time, hundreds of overdue ones, but I can then come in here and go, well, this is overdue, so I'm going to schedule that for later this week. I'm going to schedule that one for tomorrow. I really must do that. This one's going to be next week, and as I'm doing that, it's updating the underlying date in the originating board. Okay, so it's a really nice way for users sort of active across many different projects to get a single point of view for them. And this is an area we're really going to expand on. There's different perspectives. There's like this team collaboration pillar, if you like, and I think boards with the mind mapping and timeline and all that does the team management stuff really, really well. The personal productivity task management, we do pretty well, but it could be a lot better. I've got a board, for example, that I use regularly called my to-do board. So if I look at this, all my task projects thoughts, right? So I use this to keep on top of all the different things that I'm doing on a regular basis. So main projects, what to-dos today, and I sort of live my life in that. But what we want to do is try and make it so that that's very much an aggregation of all the other projects that you're involved in, and so it's automatically created for you. Another huge part of all of this that we've spoken about is the whole mobile experience, right? So obviously this stuff only ever works if users can easily access and update all these details on the fly, out there on the road, on iPads or on mobile devices, and that it's a beautiful, rich experience that you can do everything that you can do through a desktop, you can do on your mobile experience as well. So look, I think that's the majority of we wanted to sort of cover with you. I think that connections is, we love connections. It's such a powerful collaboration space, but a lot of the time it's used to just share information and share knowledge, right? Less time it's used for people to actually be proactive and get work done and actually execute on tasks. And so that's an area that we really saw there's a lot of opportunity to try and bring people from their email environment into the connections environment is with a really nice, beautiful, intuitive, easy to use sort of task management capability. So that's hopefully adds value. I don't know if there are any other questions, but yeah, great.
You talk about being intuitive, which it clearly is. I'm curious for people who maybe are new to connections or aren't necessarily comfortable in front of a browser, just about onboarding and resources for people to explain, okay, here's how you do the drag and drop thing. Have you got those?
When you invite external parties, right, they get access to just their board, or if they've been invited to multiple, they can obviously see multiples, and they don't even see the connections part of it, right? They just see the Kudos boards. And look, I don't know that there's a perfect answer to it. We've got like built-in tours, for example, that when you get started, it sort of shows you the basics and all that. But it's even really simple things, Graham, like this here, right, new board. Okay, we used to have a button for creating new board, okay, and that was fine. But when people started, this would be a blank canvas and there'd be a button there and create new board, right? Just the act of creating that dotted little space there, it's amazing the
Makes it
difference
more
that that
intuitive.
makes when people open it and they go, oh, new board, and they get started, right? Even then within the new board, right, I'll just create a test and go next, right? This, you used to be able to, we've always had templates, but no one used templates for quite a while, right? And then we added this so that you can actually define, the administrator can define which templates display out of like the top 5. So we just have a blank one, classic, which is if you see at the bottom, it's to do, doing, done. It's that sort of Kanban style one. A weekdays one, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A departments one, and a meeting template, okay? But then as well, you can actually just search for a template. So like I might search for RFP, okay? And I can very easily find a respond to RFP template, and it shows you a preview of it at the bottom, right? That feature, while it's simple, right, it's amazing the difference that made to people's usage of templates. Like all of a sudden templates just became alive and everyone was using them all the time. So I think it's always hard to know, you know, how to guide people that have never touched it before, but we put so much thought and effort into trying to make everything easy, even really simple things. Like if you're in a board, right, and you want to rename the board, well, you just click on it and start typing. Right? There's no sort of edit dialogue hidden away in some options box somewhere. You know, it's just all those little things add up to make it easy for people. So I don't know if that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Regarding the templates, is it templates you are delivering, or are these my templates?
No, so we it's both. So we deliver some templates. So you can see back on the templates thing, some of them have got like a globe on them. The internet catches up for me.
Yep.
So like see that little orange globe? So they're templates that we provide like out of the box, right? But you can take them and customise them. You can build your own templates from scratch.
If I have an onboarding and an offboarding template.
Exactly. I mean, that's a common use case where they have new employee onboarding steps. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
You had a question?
Yeah, I think there was one here.
Sorry.
My question is, I'm a member from the board conference. Can I integrate my task in my calendar?
It's a great question, right?
Like,
Yes, so we're not there quite yet, right? So the to-do view that aggregates all the tasks across all of my boards, so just for me, is the first step to that. The next step that we're adding to this view here, well, is 2 things. An actual calendar view, so you can actually see these in your calendar, but also a timeline view, just like before, but just for my personal to-dos. And we're adding an iCal feed, so that you can subscribe to that iCal feed in your personal calendar and have everything displayed there. So it's on the roadmap, we're not quite there with that yet.
I use Trello.
Yeah, cool, great, yeah. So you're familiar with some of these concepts.
And is this on cloud or on-prem?
Both, yeah.
And there's, you said that there's a good mobile app as well.
Yes, yeah.
And a mobile app is?
Yeah.
For both.
Yeah,
as well.
for both, yeah. Yeah, John?
Can you have contingent tasks? Like, this seems to be very time oriented, but then it's my job to write an article and Maria's job to post it, right?
Yeah.
Maria can't post it until I've completed mine.
Yeah, so we haven't built in like dependencies, and we're hesitant to do dependencies. However, we recently added that, man, this literally was like a day or 2 ago. I'll see if I can, you'll have to excuse me for a second, because the guys pinged me in Slack that they've added this, because it's relevant to what you're saying. I think it was...
It's just kind of more of a workflow kind of idea.
Yeah.
Or, I might do one thing, and that enables 3 other people to then do their next steps,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't...
No, it's not. It must be.
It might have been just Welsh pinged me directly.
Because I haven't seen that. But I haven't read it today.
No,
so maybe it
look,
was,
John,
maybe it
it's
was today.
literally a brand new feature that meant that you could have links between dates, where like if one task hadn't finished yet, it would push
Yes.
the other task
Yeah,
out.
sort of it.
But you can do, when you create like a to-do, you could choose, let me go to a board. You can actually choose whether like one person can complete it. So it can be assigned to multiple people, say 3 people, and you can either choose to say that all must complete or one of the group can complete that task. So I know that's not exactly what you're saying, but there's some things there. We're kind of hesitant to get to that full-blown dependencies, scheduling, because it introduces that complexity. And part of the beauty of boards has always been that it's so simple and easy and intuitive to use. But we are slowly adding some of that stuff. So for example, now when you look at dates, we have a due date, a start date, and an end date, right? We only ever used to have a due date before. And now we've added so that, you know, one task can be like, the date is relevant to the other task. So we're slowly adding some of that stuff, but we're doing it very carefully, I have to say, because I'm not trying to build Microsoft projects. You know, if people need that full-blown project management discipline, then they're the tools that you go and do that for. This is for, you know, everyday processes that people are working on, planning, executing, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Cool.
You know, you have that like notepad at your desk as well. You're just scribbling notes. I have several personal boards that just scribble everything in. It's so much better.
Yeah, but even people do use it. Like I'll show you a quick example. Let me just create a blackboard really quickly. I'm conscious we've got a couple more minutes. I'll just go in here. And I'll just create a blank one. And I'll create it right. So I'm just going to add a list called, I'll just call it list, right? Now if I go and fire up, say, probably not notes, probably note. What have I got? I'll open Excel, for example. Some people, you know, sit in Excel and create lists. Okay, so hang on. I'll create a new workbook. Right, so I'll go like item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. Oh, 3 again, right? But I can like copy and paste them now and go back to my board and just select the board and it's not going to do it for me. What I meant to be able to do is just paste them in. I'm not sure why that didn't work for me, I'm sorry. Let me try again. No, okay, back down. You can cut and paste. I'm not sure why that's not working, I'm sorry. But you get the idea of what I was trying to demo there. Cool. Well, look, I think that's probably it. We're close to time.